Hey folks, today we are going to do a quick tutorial on how to do a power up bar. So what do I mean by that? If I hit the T key, it charges up a bar, and when we reach the top, we do a big jump. So that's what we're going to cover today. And we let go. It also changes color. All right, so let's build that from the ground up. All right, so we're going to start by creating a widget blueprint. Then we're going to go in and create an enhanced input, so we can just push a button and it will tie into the input system. And then finally, I'm going to go over the code for manipulating the progress bar. And I'll just put it into a Blueprint UE that you can copy the code if you want. Otherwise, you can follow along. All right, so let's start out by right-clicking, go to User Interface, create a widget blueprint. Say yes to create that. My UI 2. And so let's open that up to quickly say that you should add a canvas. That's the first thing. After the canvas, in the panels area, I like to put everything as much as possible into horizontal or grids or vertical panels. So in this case, since we're just doing something basic, we can do just a vertical box. But just to be aware, that makes it just a lot easier to keep everything organized. And then we can add a progress bar. So let's drop that into the vertical box to make sure it takes up that space. We can make it fill the entire progress box, which is nice. And the percentage is what's going to modify that first, and then we can also make the color change as we get higher on the scale. But that's it for a starting point. Then let's go in and we can hook up the progress bar UI to the main character. So how do we do that? Go into the graph, and in the event construct we can get the player character, and we can cast to the first person. There it is. Cast to the first person. We'll add that, and then you just make a variable here. Promote to a variable. And so this makes it really easy once you've done this on the event construct. Then anything that you want to modify, like the percentage, it automatically shows up to this connection, and in which case we're just going to tie that to a variable called power. So I made a float and called it power. That's going to tie right in, and it's going to modify. The other thing that I did was I created in the first person blueprint, I created a linear color variable that is going to be modified, and that will change the color of the bar as it gets higher. So we'll just do that as well. And that'll be this UI color X. And really it's just modifying the red as it gets higher. So now that we have this canvas panel and the vertical box, we could move this or resize it. I'll just leave it there for this example. Compile. Now this ties in, but it won't. If we hit play, nothing will show on the screen. So what do we need to do? We need to make that show up. So we'll go into the first person player. We'll add that to the screen. So here's the begin. We just right click and we say create my user widget. It's a create widget. And I'm going to hold down the shift key, connect that. And what this is like my UI 2. And then I promote this to a variable so we can call it later as needed. Promote this to a variable and drop that in. And then we need to add this to the viewport. So add to viewport, my UI 2. So you can see it just grabbed the variable, which is nice. So now if we hit play, we should see that bar show up on the screen, although nothing's happening. The next step is to use an enhanced action input. So go to the inputs folder and look for actions, and we'll just tie that into the defaults. So if you just go in here, and you can see that I've already got the charge up one, build the second one. So we'll just go here and go to inputs, and we'll do an input action. We'll just call this IA charge 2. And when we hit this, we can give it a name, charge 2, And we can leave it as a digital Boolean. It's a pretty simple input example, and then we'll just go here and we will tie this to the default. So double click and we will add this. And so you can see the charge up, the first one, and this is charge 2. And then we just need to decide what we want to bind that to. So we can make that, if we just click here, you can just hit a key, that'll plug in the key. So now it'll activate when we hit the R key. And now we can just go back and implement this into the player blueprint. Okay, so in the player blueprint, let's zoom out. So I've got this charge up series of nodes. And so we can get rid of this previous input action and right click and type, let's see, charge 2. And we can say when we've triggered this and when we've completed it, it will do these 2 series of actions. We can just close that. And what are these actions? So I'm not going to recreate this. I'm going to actually give you the code should you want to use it, or you can rebuild it yourself. So let me explain a few things that I did. In the delay, the lower value you get on this, the smoother the bar will be. And this is the incremental value. So we'll be going up. Once we reach 1, we clamp it so it doesn't go any further. And then we've set this variable of power, and then we evaluate. If the power is reached 1, then we can do a power jump. And I'm just launching the character with a velocity of 2000 in the Z direction. Then I reset the power back to 0. And then this is the color modifier right here. And what is that? Well, I just dragged off, I held the Alt key and set this and split the pin. And just to confirm, it's a linear color variable, and that linear color variable, I'm just grabbing the value off the power and modifying the red. So as the bar gets higher, then we up the red value from 0 all the way to 1. And we're leaving the green and blue, but you can do something if you want to modify that further. Then when we let go of the button, we then just go in and do the opposite. So if you want this, I will put the link in the notes below, but I've created this charge up blueprint UE set, and it's for Unreal 5.6. Okay. And now let's just test this out. So I think we bound it to what, the R key. Let's test. And there it goes. Works. Awesome. All right. Well, if you liked the video, give it a like and make sure you subscribe for more Unreal content.